Hey guys, welcome to an August update in terms of my investments at the moment. If you guys watched the previous July update, you would have seen the base of my portfolio at this moment of time. Obviously, that has changed in the last month, and yes, we are sitting way past August, but I thought it would still be a great opportunity to kind of share with you guys my thoughts on the market and where I'm currently allocated at the moment. Obviously, my biggest holding last month, and no surprise, is still my biggest holding, is my retirement fund. We call that KiwiSaver over here in New Zealand, which is the New Zealand equivalent of the 401k. Last month, I had about 17,000 in there. This month, we're sitting at around 19,000. Obviously, it's been a month, and so I've received my one paycheck, and so a certain amount of that paycheck has gone directly into that KiwiSaver fund. Typically, in my previous role, I actually allocated about 8% of that to my retirement fund, to my KiwiSaver. But I've changed jobs recently, which you guys would have known if you checked out my last couple of videos. And so I decided to invest only 3% of my income as sort of the, automatic allocated amount that goes into my retirement fund. And that essentially frees up 5% of my income for me to invest however I'd like, as opposed to going directly into my retirement fund, which I can't access till I'm 60. And so that gives me a bit more freedom. My employer still matches 3%, and my employer wouldn't match 8% if I put it at 8%. And so this kind of works for me. My kernel is still invested in the Global 100 at the moment. It's been doing quite well. That's the top 100 companies in the US. I have thought to myself over the past couple of weeks, would it be more useful elsewhere? And so I do keep an eye on these different funds to see how well they're doing. But, the top 100 companies in the US, I still see us in a bit of a bull market. And so I want my retirement fund to make the most out of that. If we move down to the compartment, I think I shared with you guys last month that is actually the property, the apartment that I helped my parents purchase. And so, they were looking for something. And so I helped them purchase that. However, the New Zealand property market is in a bit of a downturn at the moment. And so I'm not expecting that to change much. I'm not expecting any of these two figures to change much over the next couple months. But it is nice to be invested in property a bit early on. The next interesting part of my portfolio is definitely crypto. I think we're in the final phase of this bull market, and so I'm just trying to make the most out of it and maximize the most out of it. If you look at the previous month, there was just 3,900 invested in crypto, but that has changed massively and has now jumped to 6,200. And so, like I said in my last video, I am actively trying to make the most out of that bull market and even dipping into altcoins such as Ethereum, such as XRP, and such as Dogecoin to kind of maximize my gains as I feel we're at the end of this bull market. And so as I sell those off, I plan to keep most, if not all, of my money in crypto in Bitcoin. And as that bear market sort of comes in the next 6 months, I see it, coming, I will just continue to accumulate more Bitcoin. And so expect crypto to still continue to grow, but maybe not as much as it has in the last month. The next most interesting part of my portfolio is the shares I have in Rocket Lab. Rocket Lab is a really interesting company, and although my portfolio value has decreased from what was it, 5,900 to just about 5,000, I am still as interested in Rocket Lab, the company, the end-to-end space company that it is, which is doing really interesting things in that space, looking to really take it to SpaceX and Elon Musk. And so they are a very, very great company to keep your eye on. They've launched a lot of satellites and they seem to be very active in that space. And so I think space is something that, a lot of people are underinvested in. and I think of it being a very important space over the next couple of years. And so glad to be heavily invested in Rocket Lab, the company, probably my most heavily invested company. And so I would like to see the amount of shares I have in that grow over the next couple months. But we shall see how things go. That brings me to Sharesies, which is where I invest in everything else pretty much. And so I have a couple investments in companies like Tempest AI, which I have their, quarterly. I keep up in terms of their quarterly reviews. I also invest in SpaceX through an ETF that tracks SpaceX as well as other companies, other tech companies like Facebook and Airbnb. Not Airbnb, but yeah, like Facebook and Amazon, for example. I invest in Facebook directly as well as New Holdings, which are a bank based in South America, doing very interesting things. They operate in the fintech space in South America, and so they've been quite an interesting company to watch. I do that all through Sharesies, and yeah, if you're interested in Sharesies, check out the link below if you're looking to get started in investing. And they're a very user friendly platform and allow you to access the global market at your fingertips, which is really really great. The next most interesting thing is still Tiger Brokers. Tiger Broker is a more advanced platform, and so I use that for more risky investments. Mainly, I'm investing in daily leverage instruments at the moment. And so, for example, you know, if you wanted to invest in a company like Facebook, and they rise 3% in one day, that 2x leveraged instrument would actually bring you 6%. However, if they were to lose value of about 3%, you'd be losing 6%. And so I kind of, invest a bit more speculatively over here, which is why the amount allocated is a lot smaller. Some interesting opportunities coming up in this bull market that we're in. And so I do want to, make the most out of that as well. But yeah, apart from that, my portfolio pretty much looks the same when you compare it with the previous month. I still have cash by way of my KFC fund. And then yeah, I have my amount that I'm, paying rent on, the amount I need to pay rent in Booster Savvy, which allows me to collect the 4% monthly rate on whatever amount I have there. And I do feel like in terms of where I plan on investing the most over this next month, it's definitely going to be cryptocurrency. Like I said, I think we're at the last phase of a bull market. And so I want to maximize the gains that can come from altcoins, and will also be selling as I see market highs coming in the next month or two. I'll keep you guys in the loop in terms of any changes to the portfolio. But I'd love to hear from you guys in terms of where you see opportunity in the market. Do you agree with me? Do you think the space industry is going to be as big as people say? What companies are you guys invested in at the moment? And where do you see the market going as well? Like I said, this is all informative. I make these videos to more so learn and to keep myself accountable in terms of my investing habits. And so I'd love to hear what you guys are invested in and where you see opportunity in the next month or so. But yeah, that's all for today. Feel free to like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys at the next video.